Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. My name is Gail Snyder. I'm the Executive Director for Dementia Friendly Fort Worth. We are proud to offer this program with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available through a YouTube channel for future use by families and communities. And today our guest is Nancy Strickland, and she is going to present a program on portraiture in the late 19th century. Nancy, we're so excited to have you today. And I'm going to turn the program over to you.
Okay, now I'm going to try to share my screen.
All right, let me give you that permission. There you go. You should be ready.
Okay. Oh, now I've done the same thing as you. Just a minute.
I like acting out.
Okay. I think you should see the full screen now.
Yes.
You know, I just realized something. I'm going to go ahead and get started, but I don't have all of my notes here, but I think we'll be all right. So acting out portraiture in the 19th century. So what we're going to be talking about is a particular kind of portrait that is called a cabinet card. And let me see if I can move this. Oh, good. So I can see a little bit better here. So initially, photographers treated this new format of cabinet cards the way they had treated something that was called a carte de visite, which is French, and I don't pronounce that really well. But you can see that there's a portrait of a little boy, a picture of a little boy, but there's still lots of extra space around him. He's got a couple of props with him, but he still has a lot of extra space. And when cabinet cards were introduced in the United States in 1866, and we'd had photography since 1839, or the late 1830s, they solved a problem. Photography was everywhere, but a lot of photographers were struggling because most people thought of photography as just like something that you did a couple of times in your lifetime. You didn't worry about doing it on a regular basis. Think of all the pictures that we have of ourselves now. But cabinet cards, while they might seem small by today's standards, they are about the size of a mobile phone screen, so about the size of a snapshot. And they provided images that were about 3 times larger than what we'd had in the past. And there we go. And let me turn that to silent. They were about 3 times larger than what we'd had in the past. And suddenly we could see more about a facial expression. We could see clothing, surroundings were far more visible. And if most people still simply positioned themselves before the camera, individuals across the country took advantage of that extra space around them to show off their personalities, or maybe their life story, or maybe their occupation, their families, their fantasies, and all of that. Move on. Now, before I go any further, Gail, you said you had some questions, and I want to be sure that I address some particular interests that you might have. So is it appropriate to ask now, or you want to just wait till it comes up, or?
I just have always been intrigued by the serious, sad, mean facial expressions in older photographs that are, and a lot of them, you can tell that they are, they're posed in the positions that the photographer wanted them in, but yet they look mad and mean.
Okay. I was looking ahead to see if I had placed a particular slide, and I may, and we may come to this again, but yeah. And some of you, I'm going to go ahead and put that out there for you guys. I can easily answer that, but any other thoughts about that, or Anybody know why that might be, that we don't see a lot of smiles?
Yeah, but I wondered the same thing myself because it's like it was something you didn't look forward to, was having your photograph taken.
Like they were
Like,
afraid the camera was going to shoot them or something. I don't know.
I may have done it in the old days.
No, and you know, that's not it. And I think I really do have the apparatus. Okay, so because of the technology at the time, the technology during this time in the 1860s, and then prior to that, even more, the light exposure was long. Now, I used to think, I used to, you know, hear, oh, like you had to be still for like a minute or two. Probably not a minute or two. It wasn't that long. It was really seconds. But try sitting with a smile on your face that looks natural for several seconds and not moving it at all. So the reason that their expressions were more, you know, just relaxed expression, maybe not angry, but just relaxed, is that they had to be still for much longer than the split second it takes to take a picture now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they even had...
That makes sense.
Go ahead. They even had an apparatus.
Yesterday, we talked about...
Go ahead.
Yesterday, when I proposed this question, anticipating today, Steve, who's usually with us, said that when he was in Thailand and they did photographs, they always told everybody no smiles and no glasses.
Well, at the time, for someone Steve's age, it wasn't for the same reason, if that makes sense. It may be that, and probably, I'm going to guess, because that being the practice for so many years, people thought that that made a more professional looking photograph. It made something that you'd want to, you know, keep for a lifetime or whatever. And then glasses, that though, probably that the technology, even at the point when Steve would have been in Thailand, wasn't great enough to take that glare away from having with the glasses on, like the light could be. Yes, Paulette?
I used to have my own dark room.
Oh, cool.
Oh my God, I loved it. That was back in the day when you could develop your own black and whites and all that.
Right.
Oh, and my daughter used to help me. And she just thought, Mom's in the dark room, quick. You know?
Well, Paulette,
Yeah.
I think you would love to come and see some of the photography at the museum. Maybe sometime you could come and you could actually come and look at this show. Your daughter might.
Oh, I'd love to. I would love to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I if I knew where I stashed all my stuff, I'd drag out a black and white that I didn't show it to you.
Oh, I wish we could see it. Well, sometime as I'm talking, when things get a little boring, you run get one.
Oh, you're boring. That's all. I'll just have to go when you're exciting. So
okay. I'm going to put this back on the screen share there. And I really, before I get to looking at this particular picture, I wanted to talk a little bit more. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was a particular photographer whose name was Napoleon Cerrone, and we'll look at a picture of him in just a minute. He was one of the most known and one of the early, most popular professional portrait photographers. And he was a very energetic self-promoter. And between 1866 and then about the 1890s, he had a hugely successful photography business. And he used these cabinet cards as his major medium. And he was among the first to give special attention to the lighting and the props, and to understand the camera's ability to capture the personality and nature. And so a lot of the people that he photographed in New York were people like the actress that we're looking at here. Her name was Fanny Davenport. And she was born in London to a theatrical family. And you see this, let's see, her stage reputation as Lady Gay Spanker in a London play that was very popular that was called London, not a London play, but it was called London Assurance. And so he's capturing her in her role, and you can even see the fire screen there has been painted in to look like what she would have had on stage. And that would have all been replicated in his studio because the photographer didn't go out to the stage, whatever, but people came in. We move on to the next one. Now, why are we not moving on? Okay. And another portrait by Napoleon Cerrone. And this is an unidentified man and another actress, and these are in their roles in a New York production. Let's see if I can. I love this one. Do you see that the woman is another actress, Helena Liu. This albumin silver print, you're going to see that, and then you're going to see other references to types of photographs. You know, photography went through the history of photography starting in 1839. The first types of photography, it was not albumin silver print. It was something called a daguerreotype, and it was printed on glass or metal. And there was just one of each of the images. Now, by the time we have albumin silver print, and albumin refers to egg whites, that was part of this process, a little bit different than the process Paulette would have used some years later in her dark room, but it allowed for multiple copies of the image. So, you know, you could go and have your picture made, and then if there were multiple copies, you might want to do more than one pose, more similar to what we do now with our photographs. Let's see if I can go to the next one. Oh, and here, the photographer is giving the client the option of being dry, like you see here on the left side, or being in a snowy setting. So the photographer is able to add the snow, and while the snow is all around the sitter's face and it's over her clothing, excuse me, it's all around her body and over her clothing, it doesn't block her face. And immediately after cabinet cards were introduced, then supply houses designed and sold albums and frames. And this album that you see is something that you can even see in the show to help people organize, just like we have our scrapbooks now organizing our photographs. And then you could take a sitter and you could turn them into a great work of art. So this artist has this bust that he then superimposes the image of the woman who's come to have her picture taken, and he's transformed her into high art. Cool. Or like this, this could be something that was actually there, like the little boat that the girls are on, or they could just be sitting on a little stool and standing and holding this prop, and then he superimposes that image on top of or within the image behind it. So they got really, really, and you can see here the logs and the other things on the beach and the look of water and the whole background there that's painted. Really fancy, in getting people to come back over and over again and not just have their picture made a time or two.
That is interesting. I wouldn't have thought at that period they would have, you know, been able to do that type of stuff. That's really interesting.
Yeah. It looks, you know, it looks kind of like the positions that some people get themselves into now, and then except that now they're holding out their phone and snapping that picture of themselves rather than somebody else.
You want to see a picture of my cat?
Sure. Did you take that picture, Paulette?
Yes.
Paulette, turn to your left where it there you go.
There.
Keep going. Keep going.
Going.
There you go.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And is that the shadow of your cat?
I developed it. I did the whole thing. That's my cat, Panther.
Mm-hmm.
And is that the shadow of your cat?
Yes.
That is so cool. Hold it a little closer and then up a little bit. I love that.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
Do you still have that cat?
No, she got kidnapped.
Ooh.
Oh,
She was, without a doubt, the world's smallest cat. And the woman who lived down the street thought I was starving the cat to death, so she kidnapped her. Catnapped her, whatever. Anyway.
after. Interesting. Well, I'm glad you showed that to us.
Okay.
Do any of the others of you have any old family photographs that look similar to this? I have. Go ahead.
I might have a few in some of the albums that my grandmother has.
Oh, cool.
Had. I'd have to look.
I have some old family photographs, but mostly, I mean, they're more like latter 19th century, and they don't have all these props and things. That was what's so interesting, I think, about this particular trend in photography. Let's see, keep going. And by the way, this show has hundreds and hundreds of objects. I'm just showing you a few. This page talks a little bit about what are called overlays. Photographers often offered all kinds of perks out and get their customers to return. Some studios offered the opportunity to set one's portrait within any number of commercially produced or handmade overlays that at times could get quite elaborate. Through these personalizing overlays, clients could connect themselves to art, to nature, to success, and photographers could promote their craft as a conveyor of comfortable leisure. This photograph here is supposedly a mother and daughter, and this one looks a bit like she's standing on a log, but I think the whole thing is like an overlay. Let me go ahead and go to the next page, because I think the next, yeah. Here are more overlays, like this person, obviously, maybe an artist, since we see an artist palette here in the middle. This person's picture is on a sail. Maybe that's, and then this couple, they look like they're in the clouds, like they're in heaven. This looks like fruit to me. And this woman kind of coming out of an album or something. And you know, the way these were done, sometimes, like I said, the girls in the boat might have actually been standing in something like that. Uh-oh, I'm frozen. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just stay frozen. That's okay. Okay, let's see. Cabinet. Oh, this is the backs of the cabinet cards. So so the photographer takes a picture, but he does his advertising on the back of the cabinet card. So the photograph is mounted on thick cardboard for stability and for storage and so forth. And then it left all this room on the back for artists to advertise their services. They often frame themselves as artists, not only including easels and canvases in their ads. The photographers were framing themselves as artists, not only including easels and canvases, but listing the medals they'd won in photography competitions. And they gave themselves titles like practical photographer, popular photographer, national historic photographer. Here, this one says practical, portraits of children. And occasionally they included engravings of their studio. And that's what this is. This is an engraving, which is a kind of a print that then could, you know, be printed over and over again for the back so we can see the studio there. So, Paulette, did you win any awards with your photographs?
Oh, yeah, a couple here and there along the way. Yeah.
Well, that's good. And you mostly use black and white.
Oh, yeah, that's all I ever used.
That's all you ever use. Were you one of those people that thought that if it was in color, it wasn't really high art, like in black and white?
Yeah, I don't know. Can you see this one?
Let me see. A little bit higher. Oh, are those your children?
Well, two of them are, and it was hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
I love that. That's good. I'm glad you had those right there.
And then I thought this one was kind of interesting because it was
This looks like football stadium.
It is, and the light was shining off the edges of the seats, and I just thought that was kind of cool. So I
It
said,
Wow.
Very, very artistic.
and this I thought, boy, if you want to know if Lubbock's flat, this will show it to you.
So are you from West Texas?
No, but we lived there for a long time, and boy, I mean to tell you, if there's something flatter than Lubbock, Texas, I haven't seen it yet.
I lived in flat Lubbock, Texas too for about 20 years.
What surprised me is the altitude is 3,500 feet.
Oh my goodness. I don't think I knew that.
And you just don't think of flatland as being that high up, but you had to drive all the way up. And then
Right. Well, you do.
So anyway, it was a fun place to live, and then we moved to Houston. So we went from 10% humidity to 98% humidity.
Yes. I've lived in both of those places too.
Oh, there you go. See?
Yeah. So here again, here are the back sides. These are the advertisements that the photographer did on the back side of the portraits that he took. And why take a picture of a baby in her mother's lap when you can take a picture of a baby in a scale? This baby is sitting in a scale. I love this picture. And here we have a cat, like Paulette's cat. This one's in a violin or viola case. And then this little boy in a wheelchair. Look at the type of wheelchair that is. And of course we have this is two women that are friends. One sitting on the lap of the other. And then we have a wedding party here. I'm sorry that these are a little blurry, but they're so small. Trying to make them a little bit bigger is a little bit hard. And then here, you know, it's not always clear whether the sitter has come into the studio to get their portrait made or the photographer has carried his equipment out into the sitter's home or workplace. I said a minute ago that didn't often happen, but I guess it does sometimes. Who's initiating this? Is it the barber or the customer wants his picture taken, or both of them?
It's the barber's son.
Oh, okay. Who said that?
Paulette said that.
Okay.
Yeah, not the average.
These are waitresses. You can see their aprons and their trays, and our postman here. So people were showing off their occupation. And then this woman was a banner girl, was what she was called. You've seen the people that are out on the street. I don't know why is my picture just totally frozen?
Yes, it is.
But you can hear me okay.
Yes.
That's so weird. Sorry. Anyway, you've seen the people these days that are out on the streets that have all those flags that they're waving around and trying to entice you to shop in some store that they're standing in front of. Well, that's kind of what this banner girl.
So like when tax preparation places have a Statue of Liberty person out on the street corner advertising taxes.
I was going to try to stop my video and then start it again, and maybe that will help. Start video. It did.
That corrected it, but now your PowerPoint's blank.
PowerPoint is going. Let's see if I can. I'm wondering if I think I might have come to the end of the PowerPoint, actually.
See what's next.
Go all the way down.
Right ahead, Patsy. Right ahead there. Right ahead.
I think I came to the end of the PowerPoint. Yes, I did. That's one of the next slide. I want to show you guys one more thing, if that's okay.
Sure.
And I want to tell you about something and then show you how you can take advantage of it if you're interested. We actually tomorrow night have a Zoom program just like this that is on this particular subject of acting out. So what I'm going to try to do right now is take all these things down so I can go to our website, and I'll show you what you need to do to register if you're interested in seeing it. If that's okay.
Does it let you just click on another tab?
So can you see my screen still?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay.
It's a little bit small, like it's shrunk in the middle of the screen. There you go.
Okay. So I'm going to the Amon Carter Museum of American Art. And then I'm going to go to what is called events, which I don't see. Let me move you guys
Up
around.
across the top, above the North Texas Giving Day.
Oh, okay. Y'all see that events?
In that graphic.
Oh, right there. Wants me to see that. So there's events. And then I'm going to click here on the calendar for September 3rd. Well, here it is. It's right here. Virtual exhibition talk. And it's called Acting Out. And you have to register in order to get the Zoom link. So you just click on register. It's free. Let me make sure that they haven't cut off registration. I wouldn't see why. And you see that you're not paying anything. You just register. So if you're interested in hearing from the curator who put this show together, his name is John Rohrbach. He's here at the museum. And then two other curators from other museums are going to each talk about this subject of cabinet cards. And John is a really interesting speaker. And so you would just fill in your name and your email address and hit register. And then they would send you an email with the link, a Zoom link, just like you use to sign on to this meeting.
That sounds like a great opportunity.
Well, maybe you'll be interested in doing that. I plan to listen myself. So I'm not sure what Peggy's going to talk about next time, but in 2 weeks I'll be talking. I'm just crossing my fingers and looking ahead, and we're going to talk about fall colors. So we may be a little bit early for fall here in North Texas, but you never can tell. Things change pretty fast. So I just am picking some landscape and different things that will just get us in the mood for finally having a little bit cooler weather. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you, Nancy. It was a great presentation. And next week, Peggy will be talking about hunting and fishing.
All right. Sounds fun.
Oh, great show, because I love anything to do with photography. I loved it. Oh, it was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. And thank y'all for joining me. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Nancy.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye-bye. And I see we had Janine join us again. So.
Yes. Hello, Janine. Glad you were able to join us.
Good morning. It was interesting.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Nancy. All right. So before we all sign off, there's a couple things I'd like to share with you.
Yeah.
So give me just a second. All right. So tomorrow is Thursday, September the 3rd, and we have a couple of opportunities. Last week we played Jeopardy and everybody had a great time. And I also have a cooking session in mind. And so I wanted to give you all an opportunity to cast a vote of what you would like to do tomorrow. To play Jeopardy or for us to bake tomorrow.
Do we get cookies if you bake?
Well, what I'm baking is not cookies, but you will get something, yes.
Okay.
So I will do our mail out packages with the goodies for those who are there.
Either one is okay with me.
Either one is okay with you.
I'm good either way.
Janine?
You know what my vote is, always.
Always to play games.
But I'm good with baking if everybody else wants to do that.
Okay, well, I can't get anybody to give me a definitive answer. So, Joe and Patsy, would you like to vote? I know you don't usually get to come on Thursdays, but you're on mute.
We won't be available tomorrow, Gail, but otherwise we would.
Okay, all right. And the other thing I want to share with you before we close is that immediately following this meeting is our Fifth Street Cafe chat, and I'm going to put in the chat box the link where you can join me on that site. So y'all have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you got my day off. Great start. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye, Nancy.
Bye. See you
Bye,
tomorrow.
Paulette.